The school bus lurched forward through the pouring rain as Ellis dropped his backpack onto the empty seat with a thud and fixed Ian with a menacing glare. "Keep walking, Rivera, that seat is not for you." He growled, his voice loud enough for the whole bus to hear, igniting whispers and stares that pinned Ian in place. Ian stood frozen in the aisle of the crowded Lincoln High bus, his backpack heavy on his shoulder, the rain streaking the windows like tears he could not let fall. At 18, he had faced worse, but this moment with Ellis Thompson, the star quarterback and king of the senior class, felt like a fresh wound ripped open. The jocks in the back row snickered, and one of them, Marcus, yelled out, "Yes, stand fag, the whole ride will do you good." Ellis leaned back, arms crossed his broad shoulders, filling the space, a smirk tugging at his lips, as the bus driver glanced in the rearview, but said nothing. Ian swallowed hard, his dark eyes steady despite the heat rising in his cheeks, and simply nodded, once turning away to grip the overhead rail for the 30-minute ride home, his legs aching from standing the entire way. The humiliation burned deeper than the cold rain that soaked his jacket when he finally stepped off at his stop in the quiet suburban neighborhood on the outskirts of Chicago. He walked the last block alone, head down, replaying the sneer on Ellis' face, the same face that had once laughed with him in middle school, before everything changed. Ian had come out in sophomore year, choosing honesty over hiding, and the world had shifted against him ever since. Ellis, on the other hand, had risen to the top of the food chain, football captain, homecoming king, the guy whose approval could make or break your social life. Back on the bus, Ellis felt the rush of approval from his crew, the high fives and laughs feeding his ego, but as the vehicle pulled away, a small knot twisted in his stomach. Why did it feel different this time? Not like the usual power trip, but something sharper, something personal. He shook it off, telling himself it was necessary to keep the line clear in a school where rumors spread faster than touchdowns. That afternoon at practice, Ellis powered through drills, his cleats tearing up the wet field, the coach barking praise for his aggression. His father, Reverend Thompson, would be proud. The family dinner that night in their spacious home, with a cross on the wall and an American flag in the yard, was the usual ritual. Ellis recounted the bus incident with a casual tone, watching his father's approving nod across the pot roast. "Good job, son," his dad said, voice booming like Sunday sermon. "In this world we stand firm against confusion. The Bible is clear, and we cannot let it invade our community." His mother smiled faintly, passing the potatoes, but her eyes held a quiet worry she never voiced. Ellis nodded along, but later in his room, staring at the ceiling fan, the image of Ian standing alone would not leave him. He remembered middle school when they had been friends, trading comic books and talking about video games before Ian changed and Ellis chose sides. The unease grew, a crack in the armor he wore every day to please his father, the man who had disowned his own brother years ago for the same reason. Ellis punched his pillow and told himself it was nothing, just another day keeping order. Meanwhile, Ian arrived home to their modest apartment, his single mother, Maria, already home from her nursing shift. She took one look at his damp clothes and wet eyes and pulled him into a hug. "Rough day, me, Joe?" she asked softly. He told her the story, keeping the details light, but she knew. "You are so strong," she whispered, but inside Ian felt the weight of it, all the constant stares, the whispers, the way even teachers sometimes looked away. He sketched in his notebook that night, drawing a lone figure on a bus, the lines heavy with emotion, wondering why Ellis, of all people, had to be the one to push him down. The next morning, the story had spread through Lincoln High like wildfire. Kids avoided Ian in the hall, some snickered, others just stared. In English class, when he read his poem about finding belonging, a few guys in the back made kissing sounds until the teacher shut it down. Ian kept his focus on the page, but the loneliness clawed deeper. Ellis walked the halls like royalty, his crew surrounding him, but during lunch, when Marcus called out, "Better luck next time, Princess," Ellis joined the chuckle, yet it felt forced, empty. On the field that afternoon, he tackled harder than usual, as if the physical pain could drown the questions bubbling up. Why did Ian's quiet dignity bother him so much? The day ended with Ellis driving home, radio blasting, but the music could not silence the voice whispering that his refusal had started something bigger, something he might not control. Ian sat at the kitchen table that evening, picking at his dinner, his mother watching him with concerned eyes. The apartment felt smaller than usual, the walls closing in with the echoes of the bus incident still ringing in his ears. Maria reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "You do not have to carry this alone," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I know the world is hard for boys like you, but you have a good heart, and that is what matters." Ian nodded, forcing a smile, but inside the pain twisted tighter. He thought about his father, who had walked out 3 years ago after Ian came out saying he could not handle a son who chose that lifestyle. The rejection still stung, but his mother had stepped up working extra shifts to keep them afloat. That night, Ian lay awake staring at the ceiling fan, his mind replaying Ellis' sneer, the laughter, the way the whole bus had turned against him in an instant. He wondered what had happened to the boy he used to know, the one who defended him from playground bullies before high school, and popularity changed everything. The next day at school, the bullying escalated subtly. In the hallway, a group of Ellis' friends blocked his path long enough to make him late for class, whispering slurs just loud enough for teachers to ignore. Ian kept his head high, but each encounter chipped away at his resolve. Across town, Ellis sat through history class, his leg bouncing under the desk. The unease from yesterday had not faded. During lunch, his table was the center of attention as usual, but when the conversation turned to Ian again, Ellis felt the knot return. Marcus leaned in, grinning. "You really shut him down yesterday, man." Ellis forced a laugh. "Yeah, I can't let that stuff slide," but the words tasted bitter. After school at football practice, his father stopped by as assistant coach, clapping him on the back. "Heard about the bus? Good work, son. Real men set boundaries." The praise should have felt good, but Ellis found himself distracted, missing a pass during scrimmage. That night at dinner, his father ranted about society changing too fast, about protecting family values. Ellis nodded along, but his thoughts drifted to his uncle, the one no one spoke of, the brother his father had cut off for being gay. The man had left town and died alone years later. Ellis pushed the memory down deep, but it surfaced in quiet moments, making him question if his actions were strength or fear. The week dragged on with small confrontations. Ian faced whispers in the locker room, even though he changed in the far corner. One afternoon after class, a girl he barely knew stopped him in the hall. "I saw what happened on the bus," she said quietly. "You handled it well." Her kindness felt like a lifeline, but it also highlighted how isolated he had become. Ellis, meanwhile, found himself avoiding the usual routes where he might run into Ian. In the weight room with his team, he laughed at the jokes, but when alone in his truck, the guilt crept in. Why did one seat matter so much? He told himself it was about loyalty to his father, to the team, to the life he had built, but deep down the truth whispered that Ian represented everything he feared becoming. The pressure built as midterms approached, and the school buzzed with normal senior year energy, dances, games, college applications, but for Ian and Ellis, the tension simmered beneath the surface, setting the stage for more. The English teacher, Mr. Harlan, announced the paired project on civil rights and personal courage, the words landing like a bomb in the classroom. Pairs would be drawn randomly, and when he called Ellis Thompson and Ian Rivera, the room went silent. Ellis' jaw tightened, his fists clenching under the desk, while Ian glanced over, his expression unreadable. After class, Ellis cornered the teacher. "No way, man, switch us." Mr. Harlan shook his head. "This is about learning to work with everyone, Ellis. Real courage starts here." The first meeting in the library was awkward at best. They sat across the table, books spread out, the air thick with unspoken history. Ian spoke first about the topic, his voice steady. "We can focus on the Stonewall riots, how ordinary people stood up against prejudice." Ellis scoffed, crossing his arms. "Whatever, let's just get this done." But as they researched, Ian shared facts, calmly challenging Ellis' assumptions without raising his voice. Ellis found himself listening despite himself, the knot in his stomach tightening with every logical point Ian made. That evening, Ellis' home life intensified. His father grilled him about the project upon hearing the partner. "You tell that boy where you stand, son. No compromising values." Ellis nodded, but in his room he stared at the project notes Ian had emailed, the words blurring as memories flooded back. Middle school sleepovers, laughing until dawn before Ian came out, and Ellis pulled away, choosing the jocks over friendship. The internal conflict raged. He wanted to hate Ian to keep the walls up, but the guy's kindness chipped away. Ian, meanwhile, worked on the project at home, his mother bringing him snacks. "You were doing the right thing," she said. Facing him shows strength. Ian agreed, but the pain lingered, the bus incident still fresh. The next meeting in the library went longer. They argued about history, but found common ground on courage. Ellis almost smiled at one of Ian's jokes, but caught himself. The tension rose as friends noticed the pairing, Marcus texting Ellis, "Dude, you paired with a fag, what gives?" The project forced proximity, revealed layers. Ian opened up slightly about his father, leaving Ellis listen silently, the guilt growing. At practice, Ellis pushed harder, ignoring the coach's praise, his mind elsewhere. The moral dilemma loomed: was standing by his father right, or was it cowardice? Ian faced more stares at school, but held firm, his resilience shining. The week ended with a small breakthrough when Ellis admitted the project topic hit close to home, but he shut down quickly. The slow build of understanding clashed with external pressures, setting up deeper conflicts. Forced library sessions became routine, the table between them a battleground and bridge. Ian shared stories of his art, how drawing helped him process the prejudice. Ellis listened more, his defenses cracking. One afternoon, Ellis defended Ian subtly when a group of underclassmen snickered in the hall, telling them to knock it off. That surprised even him. Back home, his father sensed the shift, questioning his dedication to the team and values. Ellis lied, saying it was nothing but nightmares plagued him, visions of his uncle alone and rejected. Ian noticed the change in Ellis during their meetings, the way his eyes lingered, the hesitation in his voice. He wondered if there was more beneath the bully facade. A party at Marcus' house tested everything. Ellis arrived, the music loud, the beer flowing. When he saw Ian cornered by a few guys, he intervened, pulling him away. "What the hell," man once said. Ellis shrugged. "Just not tonight." Later, in a quiet corner, he and Ian talked for the first time outside school about pressure, family expectations. Ellis almost opened up about his uncle, but stopped short. The betrayal came when Marcus saw them, and later spread rumors that Ellis was going soft. Ellis denied it, publicly mocking Ian to save face, the hurt in Ian's eyes instant and deep. The moral trade-off hit Ellis hard, popularity versus truth. Ian went home devastated, questioning if the connection was real. The internal storms raged, Ellis questioning his choices, Ian guarding his heart. The tension escalated as the project deadline approached, forcing more interaction amid growing rumors. The party fallout spread fast, whispers about Ellis defending the gay kid. His friends distanced slightly, testing loyalties. During a project meeting, Ian confronted him about the mockery. "Why do you do that if you're not like them?" Ellis snapped back, but the words lacked bite. Later, Ellis journaled his feelings, the attraction. He denied the fear of becoming his uncle. Jake, his best friend, found the journal and copied pages. The small betrayals mounted, Ellis choosing image over honesty, again hurting Ian deeper during a group presentation. Family pressure peaked at dinner, his father ranting about the school project. Ellis defended it weakly, the first crack in loyalty. Ian leaned on his mother and a few friends, finding strength in resilience. The moral dilemmas multiplied, Ellis facing the cost of his decisions, the price of silence. The revelation hit like lightning. Jake leaked the journal excerpts anonymously on the school's social page entries, where Ellis admitted his feelings for Ian, the guilt over bullying as projection, the fear from his uncle's story. The school exploded with shock. Ellis saw the post in the hallway, his world crumbling as students stared. The instant regret washed over him, seeing Ian's face across the quad, the pain raw. He confronted Jake, the betrayal complete. Family explosion followed, his father reading the posts, disowning him temporarily. Ellis broke down alone, the awakening painful but real. Ian processed the truth, his anger mixed with understanding. The confrontation in the park after school was raw, Ellis apologizing through tears. The truth exposed forced choices, Ellis standing against his father publicly. Social fallout was brutal. Ellis lost his captain spot, friends turned away. He sought Ian out, the conversations deep and healing. Moral awakening came as he chose honesty over acceptance, the sacrifices, heavy family tension, financial struggles. Ian wrestled with forgiveness, the scars real, but the connection growing. Betrayals and trade-offs defined the path, Ellis paying the price for past actions. The climax built to a school assembly, where Ellis spoke publicly supporting Ian, and civil rights, the crowd mixed. His father watched from the back, the confrontation later intense, but Ellis held firm. In the suburban park under golden sunlight, Ellis and Ian sat on the bench, the romantic moment unfolding, eyes locked, hands nearly touching, the vulnerability raw after all the pain. Ellis had lost much popularity, team home temporarily, but gained peace. Ian offered forgiveness, the bond strengthening. They reflected on the journey, the decisions, the costs. Ellis had awakened, choosing authenticity over fear. Can a person who caused such deep pain through prejudice and betrayal truly earn redemption through genuine regret and change, or do the scars they inflicted remain unforgivable forever?